chapter 10 in interpersonal communications really starts to put some of our puzzle pieces together. And this entire chapter is about relational dynamics and close relational dynamics. And so there is a chart on page 278. You'll see it here. It looks like some stair steps. I'm not an artist, all teachers say that, but I'm not going to be drawing that up for you. But I do want to talk about each of those stages very quickly, because I think once you understand those stages of relational development, you can start to picture your own relationships and where they fit. So the very first step on our little stair step here is the initiation stage. If I were Joey from Friends, it would be a how you doing, you know, kind of a thing, where you're just kind of getting to know one another, just kind of deciding if they're worth you putting any effort in or not. The second stage, the second step, is the experimentation stage. That is where you do a lot of small talk. You know, how's the weather? You know, your friends or family, you know, just kind of doing some of that back and forth. I hate to say trying somebody on for size, but kind of deciding if they're worth pursuing and getting to know better. Not just romantically, but in any kind of a relationship. The third stage, or step as we go up, is the intensification stage. You increase your contact. You want to spend a lot of time with this person, especially at the very beginning of a relationship, at that intensification stage. Step 4 is integration. It's when the relationship sort of takes on its own. So it wouldn't be Michelle and guest on an invitation. It would say Michelle and Matt, because we've been married 30 years. And so for you, it would, you know, you always see yourself with that person, and so that's sort of integrated. So the fifth stage is bonding, and on the bonding stage they make some type of symbolic gesture. You know, it's an engagement ring, or it's a, you know, moving in together. Sometimes it's a wedding, or dare I say it, it's Facebook official. You change your status on social media. On step 6, differentiation, it's not exactly going up our steps, but it's also not exactly going down. It's kind of that plateau. And what differentiation really means is that you start to feel a little bit like you've lost yourself in this new relationship, and you just need to take a little bit of a step back. Not that the relationship is still not going great, but you're secure enough in the relationship that you can still hang out with your friends, or you can still do things independently. It's not a bad stage. It's not saying that things are going in a negative way. It's just one to be aware of. Circumscribing is the seventh stage, and that is heading downward. That's a downward where partners sort of reduce the scope of what they do with one another. So you're not just secure enough to spend a little time apart. You enjoyed that time apart, and you are looking to do a little more of that. Stagnation is our 8th step, and I hate it just because even the word stagnation or stagnant just sounds awful. It sounds like the swampy, nasty area out back of Glen Oaks. It looks like you could almost walk across that water. Stagnation happens if the circumscribing stage is allowed to go on for too long. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a shell of what it used to be. No activity, no liveliness. It's just kind of there. The avoidance stage is at stage 9, and we've all done it. You've avoided something or someone. Maybe you have a paper due for me, or maybe you have a speech due for me. And so what you do is you avoid it. It's amazing the things that we will come up with to do to avoid doing the 1 or 2 things we have to, right? I will clean closets and reorganize my bedroom, but I'm not sitting down and writing that research paper. So avoidance comes when things get a little unpleasant and we sort of just avoid. The last stage of these relationships that have gone this direction is called the termination stage. And while we know that not all relationships do terminate, I went to a class reunion not long ago, and the truth is we picked right up where we left off. Even though we hadn't talked to each other in 20 years, we were able to pick up and laugh at the same kinds of things. So that relationship didn't terminate. It just sort of sat for a while, and then we reignited it again at the reunion. But some relationships do terminate, and you decide to remove them from your circle of influence, whether that's a toxic person that you're cutting out, or whether, you know, it's just not right anymore. And so then you see that sort of termination stage. So now you've walked through all the steps. They'll make more sense when you see them in the textbook. And tune in, make sure you follow up on our video on the social exchange theory, because there will definitely be some questions about that as well. Good luck.